This is the Kick-Ass Geek Cast with your host, Daddy Warpig. I am back. That's right, the Kick-Ass Geek Cast for Thursday, December 11th, 2014. The very last Kick-Ass Geek Cast ever. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And I want to remind you that even though I am ending the Kick-Ass Geek Cast, I am not ending Geek Gab. Sorry, I had to take a drink of water. I've been kind of congested all day, but a little bit sick. Every Sunday night, 7 p.m., I, your host, along with my co-host, Remy Punks and Dornall, will be here live covering anything geeky we feel like talking about with great hosts, taking questions from the audience. So you can tune in this Sunday. I don't know who our guest is going to be because we haven't managed to line one up yet, but we are working quite diligently on it. Next Sunday, a week from now, we will have an unknown AAA developer coming on the show. At least that's what's scheduled unless something terrible happens. If that's the case, I will let you know. I want to say thanks to Remy Punks for lining up that guest. Once again, that's not the next Sunday in 3 or 4 days. That's a week after that. A AAA developer coming on Geek Gab. So you can still listen to me, Daddy Warpig, every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can follow me on Twitter at Daddy_Warpig, at Daddy_Warpig. Or you can read my geek blog, The House of Geekery. One geek post a day of pure awesomeness. It's like a box of chocolates. You never, ever know what I'm going to post about, but it's always something geeky and always something fun. So, unlike our usual habit here at the House of Geekery, today's show is not about the news, it's not about the events, and it's not about the happening, unless you want to talk about my announcement as being a happening. And I've got a lot of questions about this, so I want to address it to tell you what's going on. I have spent the last 3 months every day except 2, Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sunday, every day except 2, 10 to 16 hours a day working with Gamergate. Reading tweets, writing responses, retweeting, making my opinions known on various matters, and doing my best to contribute to the consumer revolt currently occupying the Gamergate hashtag. And so for 3 months, the 2 days, by the way, that I did not spend that much time working with all of you is the day I had my surgery and I was literally physically unable to tweet. And even then, I tweeted right up to the surgery, and I started reading and tweeting as soon as I could afterwards. And the other day was when I took some time off to go watch 3 movies back to back. I saw Fury and Interstellar and John Wick. Other than that, I have put all of the projects and all of the things I've been doing on hold to focus on doing what I can for my little part of Gamergate. And I said this the other day. I was one small person in one small part of one of the fronts of one battle in this war against authoritarianism, against corruption, against censorship. And I'm not trying to kid myself or kid you to say that I was any more than what I was, which was just another person just like you trying to make my voice known. That's all I ever was, and that's all I would ever be, which is fine. There is nothing wrong with that, because that's how you have an impact, is you accept that you are just one person and you do the best you can. And if people listen, then great. And if they don't, you have still done your duty. I always knew this day would come where I would no longer be able to spend that much time doing things related to Gamergate. So when I say that this is the last Kick-Ass Geek Cast, I want to let you know why. Preparing for this show required that amount of time just to get it off the ground and running. And so I can't spend 10 to 16 hours a day every day on this indefinitely. I knew this day was coming. I knew that would happen sooner or later. And so it is time for me to start working on other things in my life again, which means I need to spend less time reading and replying and retweeting. Not no time, just less time. But spending less time means I can't do the prep work to do a decent show. And rather than do something half-assed, rather than do something where I just sit here in front of a mic and ramble for half an hour without knowing what I'm talking about, without having kept up with the happenings, without being in contact with what's going on, rather than talking out of my ass and pretending to be someone knowledgeable, but not having done the work to become that, I have decided to stop doing the Kick-Ass Geek Cast. I am not leaving Gamergate. I am not halting my involvement with Gamergate. I am just cutting back on the amount of time I can spend doing it, which means, as a result, I can't do this show to the quality that I expect from myself. It also means I'm going to become increasingly less well-informed on what's going on in the hashtag and what's going on Twitter in relation to this consumer revolt and what's going on in general. That is an inevitable result of me having to reclaim the time to spend on other things. I am not leaving Gamergate. I will not ever leave this consumer revolt, because what we are doing is important. What we are doing as consumers matters. We are doing good work, and we are doing it in a good way. And that is something very few people can say. So I want to spend a large part of the rest of the show pointlessly reminiscing about all the crap I have been personally involved with in Gamergate. Some of the things I'm going to mention are things that I did and I accomplished. This is not to boast or brag. I just want to because I didn't do them by myself, and I didn't do them alone. At every single step, I had help from people. At every single step, I had others who gave me information, who gave me knowledge, whether they knew it or not. And I was truly working with everyone involved. This was not a solo effort. So when I talk about something that I'm happy to have seen happen, that I had a hand in, it's not to brag about my personal involvement. I am reminiscing about the time I've spent, because you have to think about this in terms of time. 3 months is, in this case, 92 days. Spending 10 to 16 hours a day means I was spending somewhere between 900 and 1,000 hours over the course of 3 months working with you. That's a lot of time to spend. And if there wasn't anything I could look back on and remember and feel good about and feel proud about, I would have wasted my time. I do not think I have wasted my time. I think we have done great things, and I think we have accomplished real change. So as I delve into the schmaltz and the feels, and I pointlessly reminisce about my involvement with the hashtag, I want you to remember this. Having spent 900 to 1,000 hours reading tweets, knowing people, I am literally, no shit, no lie, the world's foremost expert on the Twitter front of Gamergate during those 3 months I was on. I spent more time reading your tweets, reading your twitlongers and paste bins and blog posts, listening. I spent more time doing that than any human being alive. I know Gamergate. I know the people involved. I know who they are. I know what their character is. And I know what they did because I witnessed it all in real time every day for 3 months. And I'm going to conclude the show with what my opinion of Gamergate and what my opinion of you as a group, the pros, those people who are pro gaming, pro gamer, and pro ethics. I will conclude the show with what my opinion of you that I have gleaned over those 3 months is. But I want to go back, way, way back to the middle of September and tell you how I first got involved in the hashtag. We're getting, at this time, 30 to 50,000 tweets a day in the hashtag, which means if you blink, you missed 3,000 or 4,000 tweets. I got involved as a nobody. I was completely unknown. I had 5 followers, one of whom was a friend of mine, and one of whom was a friend of his, who only followed me because my friend told him to. 2 of the other followers were companies who followed me back after some promotion. That's how I first created my Twitter account 4 or 5 years ago. And the last one was tech support for something. I had, despite having posted over 1,000 tweets, no one I knew and no one I was involved with. That's how I began my involvement with Gamergate all the way back in early September of this year. I read up on Games Journal Pro, the articles by Milo Yiannopoulos on Breitbart, and I was following Adam Baldwin and a few other people. I think I had like 6 or 7 people I was following that I checked up on what they were writing because I thought it was funny. And that's it. That's what I did on Twitter. Well, because of the stuff Baldwin wrote, I got involved in the hashtag. I started reading what was going on. I read the Game Journal Pro's articles, and my first major involvement with the hashtag was on a Saturday. As I was driving to go to one of my nephew's birthday parties at a pizza joint. one of those joints with arcade machines and skee ball and, throwing the basketball, I started tweeting jokes about Games Journal Pros, a lot like the Games Journal Pros account does, and dropping them into the hashtag. Over the course of a couple of hours, I posted about 100 different jokes, different ways of making fun of these arrogant assholes who called themselves games journalists. I got a few replies, I got a few RTs, I got a few faves, and the only reason people noticed me at all is because I was carpet bombing the hashtag, because that's the only way you get noticed when things are that busy, when there are that many people talking about the same thing. But that was the beginning of my involvement. I had just beginning involved on Twitter, so I was putting together a list of, for example, video games news resources, a list of comic book news resources, a list of role-playing game news resources. I wanted to use Twitter to give me material to put on my blog. And I decided to get a list of those involved, those people who were prominent in the hashtag in the organization. And I got a bunch of different names, and you'll know them and I know them. Adam Baldwin, Milo Yiannopoulos, Oliver Campbell, Jenny Barrage, all of the developers, Pixel Metal, so on and so forth. Jay Millerworks, the founders of the Not Your Shield hashtag, GM Shivers, and on and on and on. These were all the people who were involved heavily in this consumer revolt, who were the significant people in the consumer revolt, and I just started following them. And I just started replying and retweeting and getting involved. And I started picking up some followers. After about 2 weeks of this, I had a friend of mine came to me and said, "Hey, you know what's going on in Gamergate? Why don't you write," by the way, the friend of mine who did this is Doranal, my co-host on Geek Gab. He said, "Why don't you write an article about, Gamergate?" And I was like, okay, fine. I mean, I've done some reading up on it. I know kind of what's going on. I'd read the Zoe post and all of that. Had not at this point watched Internet Aristocrats video, though. I said, okay. And I threw around a post together about Gamergate that was based around Adam Baldwin, because Animal Mother seemed to me to be a good hinge between all the crap that went before and all the crap that came after. I put the post together, I put it up on my blog, and I tweeted it out to a few people who I thought might be interested. Well, it got retweeted. Several people tweeted it to Adam Baldwin, who retweeted it a couple of times. And that's how he became aware that I existed. And other people retweeted it and passed it around. It got retweeted by Instapundit, who is the biggest blogger going. And it also got picked up by the Ace of Spades headquarters, which is a military blog, a blog founded by a member of the military. They get several thousand people, different people commenting on any given post. So it's a very, very big site. And the first day when it had just been retweeted by Adam Baldwin, I got like 200% more people visiting my blog than had ever visited before. And the second day, I got 20% more than that. And so a lot of people found out who I was. A lot of people found out I existed and began following me on Twitter. I began building relationships with people in the hashtag, retweeting, following, commenting, so they knew who I was. And prominent people became aware of who I was. Some of them ignored me completely, and still do to this day for reasons I don't pretend to understand. Something about how they discovered who I was made them dislike me. Other people were very, very friendly to me. And I was requested by Adam Baldwin indirectly. He didn't say this. He said, look at this article. Isn't this terrible? And I looked at this article and I thought, yes, that is terrible. I'm going to have to write about this on my blog, aren't I? So you'll understand if I say requested in air quotes there. I wrote a series of posts. But again, at this time, I had a couple of hundred of people who followed me. And nobody in Gamergate outside of those I was directly involved with knew who I was. So I went to those people and I said, look, I'm putting up this article on my blog. Would you take a look at it and maybe retweet? Many of them did, not nearly all of them. They retweeted the article when it got posted, and people came and read, and I got some more follows. And I did that for the second day of the fisking and for the third day of the fisking. The third day of the fisking, I got the most traffic because it was a really good article talking about how people in the Antis were accusing us of all these things, but then trying to cover up the neo-Nazi past of the little Nazi Ian Miles Chong. And Based Baldwin thought so much of that article that he began retweeting it it was the 2 steps to kill Gamergate. Before I posted it, I had people asking me, what, are you serious? Are you joking? You're really trying to kill Gamergate? I said, just read the article, you'll understand. Because it was literally the 2 steps to kill the consumer revolt, make an ethics policy, and then follow it, and that's it. It's over. That's all you had to do. Nobody listened, but because of Adam Baldwin, it got tweeted at an EA executive, Patton Oswalt, the Patton Oswalt, and many other prominent people got links to my blog post because it was passed around. That was kind of a big thing for me. I'm a nobody, still am on any given scale. So after that, I got a lot more people following me, and I just got involved with everybody I could, learning people, getting to know them, listening to them, offering advice where I could. And this is around the time where I did the first of what became a thing for reasons I don't fully understand and can't explain, which is my, as someone once phrased it, my inspiring speeches. Roguestar once described me as a buffer in World of Warcraft terms, someone who isn't a frontline fighter, but who buffs other people. And I think that's a good description of the role I've had. It's not that I'm a leader, because I'm not. And it's not that I am a frontline fighter doing big dramatic things, because I'm not. But I have tried constantly and consistently to spread the message that what we are doing matters, and that we can win and will win, and that all we have to do is endure. And that has the benefit of being simple, clear, and true. I have been a support character, and I am fine with that, because I am fine with making people feel that they matter, with making people feel that their efforts matter, and with making people feel that the cause of ethics in journalism is important. And like I said to someone else, I had the virtue of not being so high profile I was a target, and yet becoming high enough profile to where people who were prominent listened to what I said. And I could see the effects of me continually repeating things move out into the larger group and become accepted by everybody, even though I wasn't the one publicly pushing them. Someone mentioned at one point the Society of Professional Journalists. I went there, I got the ethics code, I posted it, I said, this is important, this is everything we want. If they adopt this, we win. And nobody listened to me. But, or at least I thought. But I repeated it again and again and again. And then we had the situation with the Huffington Post online, their TV, where they put Georgina, Gemma, and Jenny Barrage on the air. And Jenny talked about the Society of Professional Journalists ethics code and said after the show she had done it because of what I had said. And other people began talking about it, and then people began making infographics. I wasn't listened to. I was not a big voice. I was not a leader. But by consistently talking about the ethics code to other people, some of them listened and some of them were influential, and eventually everyone learned what it was and learned why it was important. And to this day, I see posts of this, and I'm not the only one who was talking about this. Other people heard me and began talking about it. That's how this worked. That's how I made a contribution. And every time I see someone tweet out one of those infographics that says, here's the Society of Professional Journalists Ethics Code, here's where they violated it, I think to myself, I had a part in that. I made a difference. And it matters to me that I made a difference. Even though I was small and no one really knew me and not many people listened, by repeating what I wanted people to hear enough times, enough people began to listen that the whole group was changed. I spread knowledge that people needed to know that helped them. And that's what my role has generally been. This is what I'm about to talk about next. The happiest moment I've had, the proudest moment I've had, because it is the only time where I can say something I did made a clear and discernible difference in a dramatic way. Auerbach Keller, who is a journalist, posted some information in the hashtag about, or someone retweeted some tweets of his in the hashtag about Gawker and bad things they've done. Someone else posted information from 8chan where they were talking about similar things. And they said, we shouldn't use this in Operation Disrespectful Not. We should not go to advertisers and tell them that Gawker is posting sex tapes and celebrity nudes. And I said, that's stupid. Of course we should. So I went out to Gawker. I got the links for the bad things they were doing. I archived them. I got this together. I declared my own operation called Who's Your Daddy? And nobody listened, and it went nowhere. Then I realized what a mistake I had made, what a fool I had been. And I went to someone involved with Disrespectful Nod, and I said, look, here's some information I've gotten. Here's how we can hurt Gawker by providing this information to family-friendly companies. And they said, look, if you do this, it's going to be anonymous. No one will know. I said, that's fine. I'm completely fine with it. That was my mistake. It was a joke. It wasn't meant, I wasn't trying to get glory for myself, but at the same time, it was stupid to put my name on it. Take it, make it part of Disrespectful Not. Now, this is where my involvement directly ended. Disrespectful Nod took it, put it together, packaged it as Baby Seal, I believe, or it might have been Prime Rib. No, it was Baby Seal, Operation Baby Seal, and they put it out there. So I gave it to them on Friday. They put the information out there. People began emailing advertisers. In this case, General Mills and Kellogg's was one of the prime ones. And by Tuesday, we got word that General Mills and Kellogg's had pulled their ads from Gawker. So is that something I did? No, it's not. I didn't do it. Disrespectful Nod did it. But I was right there at a crucial time and got the right information and realized I was screwing up, gave the information to Disrespectful Nod, and because of actions you took, actions Gamergate took, it caused Kellogg's to pull back from Gawker. And getting over my own ego, doing it the right way, gave you guys a chance to do the right thing, and it had a real and direct impact in the course of this consumer revolt. So yes, that is one of my proudest moments. And once again, it's not because I was huge and a grand leader and championing the cause in general. It's because I did the right thing in a very small way at the right time and made some key information available so that everybody else could act on it. And that is what my role has been. There are some other things I had a lot of fun with. When everyone declared I am the leader of Gamergate, I did one tweet. I thought it was fun. Everybody working together. That's who we are. I got a letter back from Kellogg's, and somebody else, Echo Al, got a letter back from Kellogg's, and I was involved in getting it and verifying it. It was the very first, at least I'm aware of on Twitter, the very first time we had to go in depth and verify it. So I thought of all the ways I could make sure this was legit, because I was suspicious. It looked completely different from the email I had gotten back from Kellogg's. But I went in, the IP addresses matched, the email addresses matched. It didn't look fake. Ivy Clover brought Ebola Chan on, who got it and verified that it was, in point of fact, genuine. And I've never verified another email after that. But again, I was the first person to say, okay, if we want to verify it, send me the raw text. I'll take a look at these different things, told it to everybody else, and that information spread. Not because I'm a genius hacker who knows everything about the internet, but because I happen to know barely enough to do the job right, to do the job competently. And I was there at the right moment, at the right time, to make another teeny tiny small contribution that other people picked up and magnified on and did better than I could. But these are still the moments I remember where I made small contributions, but they were still real contributions. And I guess if there's a motto, if there's a lesson to be drawn from my involvement in Gamergate, it's that that's what matters for you too. That you may be making small contributions and may not know what they are, but they are real contributions. I had someone come to me and said, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I want to do a stream about it. I don't really think I can do a stream. Do you want to do a stream on this? And what I said was, look, you have an opinion, you have passion, and you have the technological means. Go and do your stream because you can do it. That's all you need. Passion, opinion, and means. So they went out and did their stream, and I didn't hear much about them. But a month later, I saw them being retweeted by some of the leaders on my news feed. Some of the prominent people in Gamergate. They had 5 times the number of followers. They were widely respected. They were doing things with other people. And I'm not saying that wouldn't have happened without my involvement, and I'm not even trying to claim credit for that, because I don't have any credit for that. I just was lucky enough to be contacted by one person and said the right thing, and I made a difference. And that was awesome to see. that I was making a contribution. And that's my point. It's not to brag or try to claim credit. It's to say I was happy that even though I was small and nobody or very few people listened to me, I was still making a contribution, and you can too. You can too. You don't have to be big and loud and famous. Small things you do can make a big difference. And those 3 stories I just told prove it beyond any doubt. Small things that you do that no one else really can in that way can make a big difference. So I want to say thank you to Oliver Campbell for bringing me on his stream, which was the start of the Kick-Ass Geek Cast and the start of Geek Gab. It was very nice of him to do. Everyone on that stream was very kind and polite to me, despite the fact I was all the time disagreeing with what they were saying or saying, well, yes, I understand that, but here's something else. Some other things I want to remember. The night everybody broke out into fights because of one article posted, and I was trying to make people calm down and nobody would. So I posted kitty pictures for an hour until people stopped fighting. That was awesome. Weaponized cute. It was awesome to do, and I'm grateful to everyone who joined in with me. I posted them for an hour, and it wasn't until the last 10 minutes that I even had to find my own kitty pictures, because other people jumped in and gave me all kinds of awesome photos to put out there. I remember the night I got angry because Roadstar had just been suspended for the first time. Now that it's happened 11 times, I'm a little bit more blasé about it, but then you'd expect that. Posted a bunch of tweets about how angry I was. Roadstar pissed was the hashtag. I'm grateful I was able, thank God I was able to come back from being that angry, because I think that would have ruined any good I could have done with Gamergate. And last thing I want to remember is remember Claire, a nice person who was bullied and badgered and attacked by her friends for asking them to be just a little bit nicer. I made that hashtag, repurposed the hashtag, and used it to tag all the things that had happened so we would remember what had gone on. This is not everything I've done in Gamergate. It's not even the majority of what I did in Gamergate. But these are, well, I'll be honest, these are the things I could remember last night and today as I was preparing for this show without digging deep into my archive. I want to close the show, and we're going long. I don't care. It's my last show. It's my show. If I want to go long, I'll go long. I want to close the show with reading something that matters more to me than anything else I've written for Gamergate. And you know me, I get off on rants. I get off on inspiring speeches or long repeated jokes. This is none of those. This is the day after Thanksgiving. I wrote this, and I'm going to read it because it is the truth. To you, Gamergate, to those who have fought these 3 long months and are still here, thank you for your tenacity. To those who are joined recently, thank you for your open-mindedness. To those who took well-deserved breaks, thank you for your wisdom. To those who are here all the time, thank you for your devotion. To those who work around busy lives, thank you for your sacrifice. To those who have audiences, thank you for the courage to speak unpopular truths. To those who have none yet speak up anyway, thank you for the courage to make your voice known. To those who work in secret, neither seeking nor gaining recognition, Thank you for your tireless efforts. You are the heart of Gamergate. And to all of Gamergate, thank you for your struggles. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for your dedication. It is due to people like you that we will win. To you, Gamergate, with sincerest thanks for all you do. I am cutting back my time that I spend on this because it's time for me to go and do other things with my life. But I am not leaving. I will still be here. I will still be on Twitter. I will still be on the Geek Gab every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. I will still be reading tweets and retweeting and commenting and contributing when and as I can in the little small ways. I just won't be able to be doing it 10 to 16 hours a day anymore. This is not a goodbye. This is not even a farewell. This is unless you're saying a goodbye to the Kick-Ass Geek Cast as a show. This is just me saying I'm going to be spending less time here, but I will still be thinking about you, and I will still be carrying the fight against corruption, against ideological authoritarians who want to control and tell people what to create. I will be carrying out that fight in a different arena, but I will always remember this consumer revolt and remember what we did here, because we did something good and we did something great, and we were decent, honorable, noble people despite every excuse we had to behave otherwise. So thank you all for accepting me in and letting me be a part of this. I'm your host, Daddy Warpig. You can catch me online at daddywarpig.com, my blog. Follow me on Twitter at daddy_warpig, or listen to the Geek Gab, the Geek-tacular Gab Fest, every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here. I'm saying goodbye to the Kick-Ass Geek Cast, but not saying goodbye to Gamergate and not saying goodbye to my shows. And I want to reassure you, despite all the feels, I will be back.